Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday we saw all the main features of inConcert's OCC. We review how OCC works, not in detail, but uh, we have now an idea what services are working on i6, and we talk about Cassandra, Redis, Elasticsearch, Nginx, and the proxies for each channel. Do we have questions in that before I move on? We can explain in detail later if you have some questions. Um, like for now, since we are going to start maybe deploying all the servers and the infrastructure will be in our side, you won't be managing this very often. But if you want, we can be more specific. We can take maybe a specific training for support because you can imagine that every i6 has different ways to see if everything's okay, if every service is working properly. We're going to be talking about this in the next slide, but remember that we can be more detailed in everything that we're doing, okay? So the basic stuff that we need to remember is OCC can work with several servers, okay? The sizing of the environment is always related to two things. The amount of agents that we're going to connect obviously is not the same to connect 20 agents that 200 agents, okay? And the other thing that we need to have in mind to do the sizing is the traffic, okay? For example, if we deploy a chatbot, maybe we can do a self management. Imagine that we have several options in my chatbot that the user can use to self-manage his questions, maybe do a transaction or something like that. It doesn't mean that I will have too many agents. Maybe I have 20 agents, but that chatbot receives thousands and thousands of interactions, and the performance of the server is also um, it's also affected by the traffic. So every time that we do a sizing of an environment, we need to have in mind those two things. The traffic that we're going to get, how many emails, Facebook, WhatsApps, chats we're going to receive, for example, each hour or for day, and the amount of agents that we are going to connect. Okay, we can have environments with one OCC, with two OCC, three OCC, four, five. Uh, we can make bigger, uh, and we can modify the current installation. It's very common in our cloud. For example, we always start with one. Very often, the only time that we maybe start with two or three is when we know the traffic or the agents are more than 400. Okay. For example, in our cloud, we have environments with one, with two, with three. I think the biggest that I've seen is three. So when we install two or three i6, we can choose whether to install Cassandra, for example, in the three nodes. Maybe in an environment of two i6s, for example, the CLS22 that you have access to, that environment has two i6. One i6 has Cassandra, all the services, Redis, and Elasticsearch, and the other one has only the services. For example, in that environment, we don't have Cassandra installed on the second. Why? Cassandra also have a specification that we need to have Cassandra installing 1, 3, 5 is not paired. Okay, so if we put another i6 in that environment, we will be pretty much, I'm certain that we will install Cassandra in the second one and in the third one. All of that we can do it in a specific time. Uh, we just need to stop all the services and maybe take an hour of configuration to do that change. Those changes are not like difficult. It doesn't bring any problem. It's just a typical work. Okay, so every time we do these changes, we we program with our client. Maybe they are not working in the early morning, and we can do those kind of things when they don't work. Okay, I wanted to talk about the builds and the patches. Okay, i6.
Before moving,
Yes,
I have a question here
yes,
regarding the Cassandra.
yes,
You mentioned that we deploy only one instance of the Cassandra. Okay.
yes. When you have one i6 or two i6, Cassandra is installed in just one of them.
Yes, because I understand that the Cassandra already either to be installed either one instance or three instance because it's n plus one.
Yes,
Okay.
I think Cassandra is installed only in not pairs clusters. When you have a
Yes.
cluster in Cassandra, you can install 1, 3, 5, and that because
Yes. Yes.
yeah, you knew that.
Yes. It's n plus one. Yes. It's
Yes,
called n plus one. Yes.
yes,
I
because
understand.
Cassandra has the replication factor and the consistency level in pairs. The replication factor and the consistency level is, for example, how many times Cassandra will write the data in a cluster. For example, it have replication factor. I'm telling Cassandra to write the data in the 3 nodes, and the
Okay.
replication factor
And
it's always unpair. Hmm.
all
Great.
right. So in case I need to have that high availability over the database,
Hmm.
I have to deploy three nodes of the Cassandra.
Yes.
So
Yes.
um, in case I have only two servers of i6, so can I deploy the Cassandra the third node out of the i6, or I should deploy another i6 so I have three i6
You can
servers
have you can
with.
have you can have a you can have many combinations. You can have also
All right.
3 servers, 3 with Cassandra and 2 with services.
Okay.
You can have
Thank you.
you can have a several combinations because I have instructions for install, for example, services, for installing services, and Cassandra for installing only Cassandra. So I can have combinations. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Great. So I now want to talk about builds. Okay. What's a build? I'm going to click here on my wiki. Yesterday I sent you I sent to several of you. I didn't have all your emails, but I sent to several of you the the folder where I'm going to be putting the recordings and the access to the wiki. The wiki is in Spanish for now. We're currently working on translate that to English. Okay. So what's a build? I'm going to translate the wiki here. What's the feature? Hmm, wait. Well, this is the article about builds. Okay, so what's a build? A build is uh like a version of OCC. Okay, our ID team uh, publish a build every, I will say, 3-4 months. Okay, so a build, it's a package of new functionalities, corrections to bugs, and new stuff that i6 will have. For example, we are currently in the build 1984, and this article will tell you all the new stuff that we have and maybe the correction for some bugs. For example, here in general, I have all the new features and corrections for this particular build. This build was published on December 8th. Okay, so for example, in this build, we are updating Redis to the 6.2.3 version, and Elasticsearch to 7.12, Asterisk to 16.18, and Nginx to 1.21.3. In this particular build, we updated many of the services that we use. Okay, or for example, we have here now new functionalities for bots to have the number to text digit. These are some functions to deploy or to develop IVRs. Okay. For example, in this particular build, we can now record and stream the agent screen for every channel. Previously, we the monitoring of the user was only for telephony, but now in this build we can have it in all channels. Okay, here's are the main features that were published for WebRTC. Okay, for email, for Facebook, for Instagram. Another big news for Instagram, we now support DMs. On the previous builds, we didn't support this because Facebook didn't give us the API for those DMs. For web chat, we have two new functionalities. We can now have links in our web chats. We can now disable the button if there is no agent available. On WhatsApp, we can now use, for example, quick reply buttons. And so a build, it's a new publication of a package of changes, new functionalities, resolves of a bug, and that. Okay, I think you guys have this version on the cloud and in your on-premise environment. This build is the 1457. This build was published on March 31. So what's an environment update process? Well, an environment update process is the process to update, for example, this build, your environment, for example, to this build. Okay, so how we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. We only need to plan an evening or in the early morning a window for us to stop all the services, take a snapshot of the virtual machine, The snapshot is very important because that will allow us to roll back to the previous image. We take a snapshot, or you guys take a snapshot, whoever is the administrator of the virtual machine. We download all the new packages. We work on the i6 server for maybe 45 minutes, an hour, and that will allow us to go to the next build. For example, in this new build that was released on December, let me show you something. For example, I have all these new functionalities, but also we have a new web GUI in some of the parts. Maybe you noticed that yesterday that I saw with you guys this environment. I'm going to open this. This college i6 inConcert.cc.com has a build that was released on December. Okay, so maybe you notice this color is different, is more like green instead of blue. And in configuration, I don't know if you saw this is different. The GUI is different. Let's go to another environment and see. For example, so we can also do changes like this with the GUI. Yeah, for example, I think you have this interface. It's more like gray with blue. Now the build that we publish on December has this type of interface. Okay, so for example, one thing that I'm struggling right now is, for example, when you edit a user, you have to edit the user and the save button was here. Okay, right now I go to a user and I have the buttons right here. I don't have to go all the way down to save. Okay, so maybe that's better. Okay, so a build is a new release of inConcert. Okay, what's a patch? Okay, a patch it's a, a resolution of a bug for a specific build. Okay, so for example, if I install this build that was released on December 8th, I need to see maybe if we already have a patch that resolves an issue. For example, we do. For 1984, we already have 3 patches. A patch is a solution to a problem that was discovered maybe by a client, maybe by us in our testing. And when we update an environment, we always have to install these patches. Okay, for example, I have here a problem with a transfer report, or maybe this is a problem of recordings not showing on the supervisor. Okay, so what's a patch? It's very common that a patch is just a file that we need to replace on the server. Okay, and that was what I was telling you. Maybe when we have an update, a new build, for example, these are the patch for build 1457. All these corrections are obviously included on the new build. Okay, so a build is a package that is published that we can install right away when we want, or we can go to that build with an update process. And a patch is a specific resolution of a bug, and we always need to try to have those installed to avoid any problem. Okay. Okay, we talk also about the environment. Let's talk about troubleshooting and logs. I'm going to connect to an i6 server. So every proxy and every service on inConcert has a log. A log is a very useful thing to search for errors, to debug a problem. And the first thing that we are going to do to look up for a problem is seeing the log. Okay, that's very important. But also, we can have commands to know if our i6 is doing well. And we also, on the last build, our team developed a screen to monitor some services. That's great because since we have Linux, sometimes Linux is very difficult for some people because it's console, you have commands, and to avoid that, we implemented something graphic for that purpose. Okay, so I'm going to connect to a server. Okay. Okay, I'm connected now to a test i6. Okay, so for example, let's review some commands. We can have this command to monitor the status of the services. Okay, with this command, I can see, for example, if all my services are up and what's the update time for all of them. Okay, obviously, if I see something down, I need to check if that service uh, is triggering some problem. As I was saying yesterday, some of these services can be down and will not give us a really big problem. For example, the summarizer. Or for example, if I stop the email proxy or if I stop the Facebook proxy, the only thing that I am stopping is for the accounts to be refreshed. For example, if I stop the email proxy, our email accounts won't be trying to download the emails from the accounts that I have configured. Or maybe I can or I won't be able to send a specific email. It won't give me too much trouble, or maybe I'm going to stop that specific service, but the platform will still work. Okay. So if I wanted to stop a service, I can just use sv stop and write, for example, the service that I want to stop. And if I stop it, I can also start with sv start and the name of the proxy. Okay. I can also use node tool status to see if Cassandra is okay. Okay, Cassandra will tell me with this that is up and is normal. If I have 3 Cassandras, I will see here the status of all of them. Okay, so with this tool, we can see if Cassandra is okay. Great. And we also have the logs. The logs are in var log inConcert. Here we have all the logs of i6. Our logs are always rotating. We have something like this, for example. Let me show you. You see here, for example, this is the log for interaction router. Okay, when time goes by, we do something like this to rotate the logs. Okay, so if I'm searching for a problem, for example, with a chatbot with some specific interaction that I already have, I have an interaction in my agent and my agent can't disposition, my agent can respond or whatever, I will try to see, for example, in this log. How do we see in this log? For example, if I'm trying to debug right now, I can use a command like tail to search here what's happening. Okay. This is, for example, checking all the status of the accounts. Okay. Or for example, I can do a cat, for example, and search maybe for the word error. I don't have nothing. Okay. Obviously, we can debug also every channel. For example, if I'm having trouble with my email, let's think that my email is not working, it's not downloading the emails. I can search specifically for the email proxy, for example. Every channel has a, a log. So, for example, if I wanted to troubleshoot a problem with WhatsApp, my inbound messages are not working. The first thing I need to check is did I receiving something? If I receive something, obviously my WhatsApp proxy log will show me something. But if I don't see anything, that means maybe the problem is somewhere else on the firewall or because I'm not receiving anything. So here, for example, I'm going to put here last. For example, here he's checking that this email I have here, Mail College Lab, this account is not valid anymore. This account is disabled. Okay, so it's knowing that we don't have to do anything on this campaign. This is the authentication that I put, and so okay. On the last build, I want to show you this because it's very interesting. It's a new feature. I haven't tried it yet, but I saw that feature, that new feature on the wiki. Let me show you because it seems very interesting. We have now something called, let me look at Grafana here. This is a new feature for i6 and it's a monitoring tool made, for example, for Elasticsearch and for Redis. Okay, so how does it work? It's installed on the i6 server and it's something like this. Welcome to Grafana, and I can see here the status of my Elasticsearch and my Redis. Because as you saw, Cassandra and the services are pretty easy to monitor. We have already commands, but with Elasticsearch and Redis, we had some trouble. And our development team did this to quickly know if there's a problem with Elasticsearch and Redis. This is a graphic interface. What do you think? Great, right? Yes, uh, this will give us also uh, tools for monitoring better the services. This is very great. We can also connect, and we have all our servers connected to a PRTG. Okay, all our services are connected to a PRTG to monitor resources, CPU use, RAM use, disk usage, and obviously that's that's great. That's a good practice because we here can avoid problems to happen in the future. Yes, for example, let's click any i6. We can have something like this. Okay, so I'm monitoring, for example, the CPU resource, this disk usage, the free memory of SSH, Cassandra, all the service. Do you see Cassandra service, interaction router service, Redis servers, agent Poland, and so. Okay, so we also use and monitor our service with this kind of tool. Okay, this is a pretty common stuff. If you want us to help you, for example, monitoring your i6 server on your data center, we can easily help you because we have all these sensors already configured. Okay, so that's how we try to avoid future problems and how we troubleshoot an account or something happen to the environment. Do you guys have any questions for now?
Yes, I have a question regarding the PRTG and the other tool you do monitoring.
Yes.
I believe the PRTG we should bring it from our side. Okay, so as my company, okay, we should have this license of PRTG and we connect to the ISACs, or you can give a PRTG account from your side to keep monitoring.
We have worked with the two scenarios, and where we have clients on premise that has their PRTG and they are monitoring the servers, and maybe they can give us an access to the PRTG or something. But we have also installed a probe. Do you know what's a probe? A PRTG probe
Yes.
from our PRTG to monitor your on-premise servers. I think we've done that like 2 or 3 times where we on our PRTG are monitoring a server that is not on inConcert's cloud. Maybe I have here an example. Uh, Let me see. I think we do have here an example. Yeah, for example. Yeah, for example, this is an environment that is not on inConcert.
Okay.
We installed a probe. A probe is installed in a Windows server.
And the other tool, it's called Jafana or something. It is installed on the i6
Yes, yes,
server,
yes.
or
Yes, it's installed in the i6 server, but it's available on the new build. Let me
okay,
show you.
perfect.
Let me show you because here is the installation process. And but I think but I think this is news for me. This is new for me also. I think you can install Grafana on a single server, and from that Grafana monitor several i6s. Yeah, because I was reading the other day this, and here it says, let me. mm, yeah, you can install this on the same i6, or you can install this on a single server, and from that server connect to the other i6. Yeah, it says here Grafana can be
Okay.
installed on the OCC server, or it can be installed independently in a separate node. Uh, in a single installation of Grafana, you can monitor one or n environments. It says right here.
Okay.
So maybe you can also have this installed in for example, if we're going to build a data center with you guys in Dubai, uh, I'm talking hypothetically, okay? Maybe we can install one of these to monitor Redis and Elasticsearch on all the environments. If we have 2, 3, 4, 10 environments, okay? But this is a new stuff because we will also struggling with the monitoring of Elasticsearch and Redis because as you saw, we didn't have too much tools to do that troubleshooting. We can have commands to look for Cassandra, the services, but Elasticsearch and Redis was a struggle. Okay, and we can also
Okay. Thank you very much.
install probes for PRTG. Okay, other questions? Okay, let's move forward. Well, we're going to start with module 3. Okay, module 3, it's about campaigns and administration. Sorry, it's about provisioning. I went to module 4, sorry. Module 3 is about provisioning, okay? So, what's a VCC? A VCC is a virtual contact center, and it's a it's an instance within an inConcert environment. This instance will not share any resources with another VCC, okay? Usually, a client is a VCC within an environment. We always in our cloud have environments, and we put clients as a VCC, okay? And we say, for example, this environment is full when all the resources are uh, like normalizing in that environment, okay? So, for example, if you are a BPO and you have clients that had nothing to do between them, you can use a VCC to use one single environment, but to separate client A for client B. Those VCC are not going to share any resources. They're not going to share users, recordings, reports. They're not going to see each other. They don't even know that they are sharing the environment with someone else. And how do I specify a VCC with the, sorry, click here, with the at here, for example, VCC1, VCC2, VCC3. So every time that I'm connecting, I specify the VCC with this part. Okay, so the provisioning model is the one that allows you to create the necessary resources for the correct operation of a VCC. Every VCC needs resources to work, And the provisioning model is where we're going to configure everything that a VCC needs. Okay. So, for example, I'm going to go here to this environment, or maybe okay. How do we enter the VCC? We have always a deployer user. Okay, deployer at system. Okay, and we always have a password. Let me stop for a second my screen share to put the password here. Okay, I'm connecting to the provisioning. So here I see, for example, all these VCCs that are created here. And what's the, or where are the configuration that I can do here on the left? Okay, so we can here configure carriers, hosts, IP phones, IP trunks, trunk groups, DIDs, routes, dial pan processors, and packages. Okay, so for example, I'm going to start with the obvious. Okay, IP trunks are the trunks that I'm going to configure for having the telephony configured. So for example, we were reviewing yesterday that here on IP trunks on the cloud, we only have one trunk to our gateway. This gateway is a gateway of inConcert. Okay, so what a trunks need, for example, if I'm setting up a trunk, I need the carrier. The carrier is something that we create here on carriers to know the name of the carrier. For example, inConcert, carrier 1 is just a name for us to know who's the carrier of this uh, trunk. Okay, I can put here a name, a description, and if I want, a prefix. Okay, but I prefer to put the prefix on the packages. We will be now seeing what this does. Okay, so for example, I here have inConcert as carrier. Okay, and now we put a trunk from our I6 to our gateway for the carrier inConcert. I can here say it's a zip trunk. I can put here the domain, the trunk port, the trunk capacity, the host name. This is where I'm setting up the trunk. Do you remember that we had two trunks, two I6 server, and this host name it's set up here in hosts. In host, we always going to specify the I6 server that we have. For example, in this environment, I have two I6. This is I6 node 1. On description, you are going to put always the host name. Here on the host name, we're going to always put the host name. Private IP is the private IP. Public IP, I'm going to always put the domain, the call1 domain. And here the call2 domain. Remember that some of the subdomains, if I have two nodes, are going to be repeated. For example, chat1, chat2, call1, call2. And the port is always this one. Okay, so when I'm configuring a zip trunk, I'm saying here what's the host that is taking this. Every zip trunk has a from and a to. This is the IP of my gateway. Okay, so what is this doing? This is triggering a zip trunk configuration in the asterisk on the i6. When I do this, we are triggering the configuration of this trunk on the asterisk server.
Laura,
Yes.
let me ask here. Regarding the host name, means here is a far end of IP trunk?
Sorry?
Regarding the host name, which is the i6 server.
Yes, this.
Okay. It means here the far end of the IP trunk.
Yes, this is. Remember when we first let me ask you. Do you know zip trunk configuration? Do you know asterisk?
Yes.
What this is doing is setting up on the zip.conf the specification for the trunk. So this what it's doing, it's, let me show you here. This is a test environment. Let me connect to this i6. Give me 1 minute to show you.
Okay, take your time.
I'm going to connect to both i6 for you to see. I'm connected to another data center. Give me 1 moment.
Okay.
I was connected to another data center. That's why it's not working.
Okay, no problem. Just I need to know the near end and the far end of the IP trunk configuration.
Yes, I will
Yeah.
show you. I will show you right away. Because I also want you to understand what is this doing. Okay. So every SIP trunk needs to be configured on the 2 points that are trying to connect. Okay, so if this is my I6 and this is my I6 gateway, when we are configuring this, we are configuring the trunk that it's going from I6 to the gateway. Okay, we are
Yes.
configuring this, and what this is triggering is, on Asterisk you configure the trunks on the zip.conf, right? And what this is doing is triggering the instruction to Asterisk to create that trunk. And so if I do this, I here have this trunk because I configure it here, right? So what this is doing is giving us an interface to configure the trunk without entering the server, right?
Yes.
This is a pretty good stuff because we now don't need our clients to tell us to go to Asterisk and configure the trunk in the configuration files of Asterisk. Right now, if you want to connect a trunk directly to your carrier, you won't need us, right? Because you don't need to go to the server. You don't need to log in to the server. Did I answer your question?
Okay, thank you. In our case here, the I6 IP is 242, and the gateway is 244, correct?
Yes, that changes. That changes with your carrier. What you need to always do is here on host put your I6 server. You have one, just one, and you have two, just two, because here you say where is the trunk. This is
Okay.
where the trunk is configured. If I put here, for example, this will trigger the configuration of this trunk, but in the other I6, right? So if I move this, I won't be seeing this trunk anymore here. I will see it on the other I6. I'm connected here in the node 1. This is node 1 for 242. Okay? So
Okay.
what this does is just configures the zip trunk on the Asterisk. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. IP
Okay,
phones.
sorry, Laura,
See.
for interruption.
Yes.
Uh, Again, about the trunk itself.
Mhm.
You're now connecting one trunk between the I6 server and the gateway.
Yes.
And yesterday we said that all trunks received from our clients are connected directly to the gateway.
Yes.
So we are having one trunk between the gateway and the I6.
Yes.
How is routing if we have multiple I6 servers and the calls, for example, are transferred to which one, and how the routing is done between the gateway server and the I6 server?
Let me show you. Maybe I have connection here. Yeah, I want to show you an example. This is an environment that has 3 nodes, for example. This is an environment that has 3 I6s. Sorry. Do you see here? Do you see here host
Yes.
1, 2, 3? Okay. So when
Yes.
we have this, I can here configure. Well, I have here four gateways, but do you see here
Yes.
the trunk for the node 1, the node 2, and the node 3? Here I
Yes.
can configure, let's say we only have this gateway. This is uh, a strange case because I have 4 gateways, but here is the trunk to gateway 1 for the node 1. Here is the trunk, but for the 2. And here is the trunk for the 3. Okay, so here I can also configure a trunk group. What's a trunk group? That balancing between all the nodes. Here I set up a trunk group for node 1, 2, 3 for the gateway. And doing this, I am balancing the channels between all 3 nodes. Obviously, I will need to have installed the services, inConcert services on each node for this to work, right? Did I answer your question, Mohammed?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But for the agents, when they log into i6 servers, how they log into the i6 server if I have multi nodes and the calls are transferred to the agent?
Okay, the agents has IP phone. The first need you need to have for agents is the IP phones. Okay, so let me show you here. Do you see here that I have from this, and do you see here, this is the first node. Let me show you. Do you see all these peers? When I
Yes.
create peers, okay, we are creating peers for the agents. These are the peers that the agents will have. Okay, do you see that this changed to 43? So I will
Yes.
have the extensions assigned to the agents. I will need to have extension for each node, and inConcert will manage all the flow that if, for example, if the incoming call was received in node 1 and the agent is at node 2, we do a transfer between the asterisks. That's all managed by inConcert. You
Okay,
know,
so no configuration is done
no,
in the routing, in this routing. I
no,
just
no,
need
no.
to add a new i6 server and configure the trunks to the gateway, and that's it.
Exactly. You just need to be worried to configure your trunks and to configure the IP phones that your agents will have. That's it.
Okay, so the trunk group, is there any capacity for the trunk group if I have multiple trunks
Yes.
between the gateway? Is there any capacity limitations?
All the trunks has a limit here. You can configure here a limit. Obviously, we need to be careful on how many calls we are going to receive, right? But this, I wanted to show you this example because here you have 3 nodes and we have all the 3 nodes working in at the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a small thing here to confirm my understanding, sorry. The word node mean here is i6 server or or the i6 server can have multiple nodes.
Yeah, you can have multiple nodes on the i6 server. We were
Yes,
yeah,
okay,
we were talking that you can have 1 i6, 2 i6, 3 i6.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so the IP phones, the IP phones are the phones that we are going to configure for the agent. Okay, here we are going to specify, for example, if I want to add a new phone, I can put here the technology, the number, the password, and the host name. For example, let's see, whatever. This is an IP phone. Okay. The IDs are the numbers that we are going to have for our campaigns. The ID is what I will need to configure, for example, an inbound campaign. Okay. A DID, it's a number, right? Okay, what the ID needs, just to say the carrier, and if it's an inbound, just tell the number. We're going to see more of this on the campaign. A route is the dial plan for the outbound campaigns. Okay, for example, let's see this one. This is an outbound route for all countries, but I can set up a route just for example, just to call to USA, for example. Okay, I can here just enable the countries that I want. Okay, on dial plan processors, I can configure some specific dial plans for my VCC. Yes, it's not very common, but let me see. I think I here have some dial plan processors. Yes. Yes. What this does, I set up here, for example, I configured a how do you say? Let me see that word on English. Sorry. Yeah. Well, what I say here, I was trying to configure if my agent dials specific numbers, I want these numbers to go to another trunk. All the calls that are on a specific VCC, I'm going to tell.
Prefix, do you like
Sorry.
prefix?
Yes, a dial plan processor is. I can put here a code for each call to be processed before it's dialed. Maybe I want to do something special with a number, with something, and I want to change something. For example, in this particular client, all the calls are going to the trunk 1, but we wanted to set up the trunk to trunk 2 for specific numbers. So here on the dial plan processor, I put this code to change the trunk if the agent dials these numbers. Why? Because maybe these numbers are free to dial in another trunk. Okay, so do you see here set call trunk? What I did
Yes.
is I'm getting the trunk, I'm getting the dial number, and I'm saying if my dial number is this one, this one, this one, these are all emergency numbers, police, firefighters, and stuff. I'm going to do call trunk need to be switched. And I'm doing this code to switch the trunk specifically for those numbers. So in dial plan processors, I can do some coding to modify the default configuration of my trunk. Okay, maybe you don't need one, and for example, in this environment, I don't have any dial processor, or maybe you don't have anything here because we are doing that kind of stuff in our gateway. Okay. Okay. Let's go to packages. Packages is what we are going to need to configure a campaign. Okay. So for example, I'm going to assign a package, or let's first see one to understand. Okay. For example, I here have a package with a capacity, with a mode, inbound, outbound. And when I'm going to create a campaign on OCC, this is what is going to tell me if the campaign is inbound or outbound. And here is what I'm going to select. For example, if it's only inbound, I'm telling my campaign it will only have inbound calls. If I'm saying outbound, it will only have outbound calls. And if I say inbound and outbound, I will say what's the DID that the campaign is going to receive and what's the outbound route that I'm going to use. Okay, this will be getting more sense when we configure a campaign on i6, trust me. Okay, I can here also set up a specific prefix for that. Why we need prefix? Because maybe if I set up only one trunk here between my axis and my gateway, and I have client A, client B, client C, how I'm going to know if the call is from client 1, client 2, client 3. I need a way to separate those clients, right? Because maybe client A has his trunk here, trunk A. Maybe client B has its trunk B, and so, right? But if all my
Can we
calls are treated the same way from i6 to gateway, I can set up here maybe a prefix to specify this call is from trunk A or trunk B. If I set up here a prefix, for example, that means that this outbound call will give me, for example, 950 for trunk B and 900 for trunk A. And here I can separate if I get 900, go to trunk A, and if I get 950, go to trunk B. Okay? That is if you do it like this. Because we were talking about this yesterday, and you guys can't have, if you want to, let's separate these two. If you guys want to, you can set up here in your i6 server all the trunks directly to your client, right? You can set up this if you want to. And obviously, if I want to do this on trunks, I will set up this trunk and this trunk, right? On carriers, I will set up carrier trunk B, carrier trunk A to separate the two of them. When I create packages, I will set up maybe the DIDs that I get from here and the DIDs I get from here. On outgoing route, maybe I have different outgoing rules for each one. And so, okay?
If we have multiple clients using the same trunk, we can identify
By prefix.
it, but
I will recommend you to
maybe
do it by prefix.
but can we identify by the extension,
What extension?
the agent extension or agent login username?
No, because the dialysis is not coming specific from the agent, it's going to the campaign.
Mm.
So I guess we can use DID, for example, 5000.
Yeah, for inbound, yes. For inbound, yes, of course. But for outbound, if for example you have 3 clients and you have this trunk and you will use this trunk for 3 for 3 clients. I will always recommend you to separate those with a prefix, just like we did here. Because if you go to the same trunk and the configuration of your 2 clients is the same, you won't be able to difference one of the other. So if you do that, I will always recommend you to use outbound prefixes to specify. If I get 900, I already know it's my client A, and if I get 950, I will also know it's my client B. We needed to see this in practice. Maybe on the practice uh, you will see how it's configured. But do you have doubts right now, Annette,
Sorry,
Mohammed?
I just need to confirm how to link all of this configuration with the campaign. So first I have the trunk, I have a trunk group, I have phones, then I have to create routes and the packages. How can
Yes.
I link all of this to the campaign?
When you have all of that, when you have all of this, you go to the VCC. For example, I will go here. When I edit a VCC, do you see here omnichannel technology? I will assign the peers. I will assign the peers that I want, and I will assign the packages that I want. And that's how we are going to assign these resources to a VCC.
Okay.
And that's why we can have multiple VCCs. For example, this VCC, sorry, has these packages. But do you see that all the packages comes from the same IP trunk? And all packages have the same routes? Because in this particular environment, maybe we are controlling everything on the gateway. We are not doing this. I can do this, yes, of course, but we are going to do this. I am sending everything to the gateway. We are sending different prefixes to separate here. But please notice that you can do this if you want.
Okay, so again for the trunk, I have created the trunk to the OCC to the between the gateway and the ISX server. Then I have to create route and I have to create package. What is the difference between route and the package?
No, the packages has the DIDs and the routes. Okay. So let me let me show you. 1 minute. I'm going to move forward maybe just a little bit from the next module, but I want you to know what the package is for. I'm going to enter this VCC. This VCC is this VCC right here, okay? Okay, if I have here, when I set up a telephony campaign, I need to select a package. So the package is what I will select when I create a campaign. Okay, so if I'm doing this, I am telling this campaign will receive 800 on the dial plan. So if I have a call dialing 800, I am telling here inConcert this is for Miracle campaign. Okay. How did I did this? Because I configure here 800 and I configure here the package with that 800. Okay. Obviously, I cannot repeat this with another campaign. So I am telling my campaign is inbound and this campaign is expecting 800. So if someone dials to my i6 with 800, inConcert will know that that call needs to go to this campaign. We're good so far?
Yes, but I'm a little bit confused between the DID and the package
No.
also.
The
So we
DID, the DID is just for select here. You create DIDs here for me to be able to select a DID here. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So basically, the package is it's a configuration of trunk and DID.
Yes. I don't know why we did a combo here. Maybe we should have put an input here. The only reason I think we put a combo is for us to be able to say to you, for example, when you click a DID, obviously you need to set up a carrier because maybe you have the same number for two different carriers, right? So I think we did this to avoid repeating, right? Maybe we put here, maybe we did a combo here to avoid that someone repeats the DID and that will obviously give us an error, right? But the only reason that it's separated is because here is a combo. And for you to have a dynamic combo, you need to set up this somewhere else, right?
Yes, sure.
Yes. So, but see this. This is an inbound and outbound, okay? And this package is inbound, outbound. Why do I have outbound? Because I want this campaign to be in and out. If I only want to be in, I will set up here just inbound, right? And that's it. But if I want my campaign to be in and out, I have to say here in the configuration of that in and out, how do my outbound call will work. Okay, so this will tell me, I'm going to go here, routes is the same. We put here this for you to select in a combo. Okay, here I can set up routes. For example, this route is not doing anything. All countries, dial whatever you want. Okay, but I can have a specific route out to USA. Oops. Okay, I can set up, for example, only USA for Miracle. Okay, I will be able to set up here. I only want to give you permission to call to USA, to all areas, and here is where I'm going to set up a trunk list. Here I can configure, for example, go to here or go to here.
Okay.
But since we only have one trunk, that's why we set up only one route, because I don't matter what you're going to call, just go here and call whatever you want. That's why we only have here one, right? But if I have several trunks, here is where I'm going to set up. This goes from here, this goes to here. And here on the package, I will set up, for example, if this is Miracle, and this is the outbound route, I will say this is the outbound route for Miracle. And the outbound route for Miracle goes to this server. Okay?
Okay, so the package contains the configuration for the DID incoming and outgoing route.
Yes, and the package is what you select on the campaign.
Interesting.
Well, this is maybe confusing, but this will allow you, Muhammad, to configure all by yourself. You won't need inConcert for doing this. And this is a big
Yes,
change.
it's very
This is
good.
a big change, big change for us, because in the previous version of inConcert, we needed to do everything about telephony. We needed to do it manually on the PBX. So this will allow you to be fully independent, fully flexible, and you won't need us to configure this. This is pretty
Okay,
great.
great.
This is pretty great for
Yes,
our
it's
for our
very, very
clients.
good.
You don't need, because you don't need us, because here you are triggering to the asterisk the trunk. Here you are triggering to asterisk the extension. Here you are triggering asterisk the inbound dial plan. Here you are setting up to asterisk the outbound going plan. And here is what you select on the campaign. You won't need us.
So it's a very, very great configuration and it's very easy.
Yes. But we do have special occasions. For example, when I work with Mohammed works with me because we have this special gateway.
Yes, it's good.
I am giving you the opportunity to set up all by yourself using this. If you choose this scenario, you won't need me for nothing. Bye bye, Laura. I don't need you. Thank you. But if you do this, we 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 are managing some security stuff. We are, and we have also some cases that we are having trunks for a VPN. That's something special. But don't worry, you can set up a mix between one. For example, the other day I was thinking maybe we can have some other scenario, and we can have a mix for this. We can have the i6 server, and I was thinking this, Mohammed, for us to maybe try it, try it also. Maybe I can have my i6 server here, right? And I can do this. All the trunks that are going to come from a VPN, I can have one specific gateway, my gateway, for this
And
VPN
others,
trunks.
are connected directly to the i6
Yes,
server.
yes. And the other ones that are through internet, I can have it just one by one.
So if you have any special
Yes,
connectivity configuration, we can get back to you.
yes,
If we have set trunks through the internet, we can do it manually.
yes. Maybe if I have a trunk that is free internet, whatever, let's go directly to them to them. Trunk, whatever. Let's go right away with that. But maybe if I have a trunk that it's special, it needs a VPN connection. It needs TLS SSL configuration. It needs something special. Maybe we can have one gateway for that, and we need to do some more stuff here, or I can set up this, or I can have a mix between them. All trunks that are, I don't know how to say it, simple, through internet. Let's do it directly, and maybe specific trunks here. We can have this scenario if you want. And obviously, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do, and I think I can, yes, I can do. If you're going to do this, you can set up all by yourself with the provisioning. And if you're going to do this, you will also configure some part of the provision, but you will need help here to configure some stuff. The trunk, rules, whatever. Okay?
Okay, great. So I guess we will need one more detailed session about how to set up the trunk itself directly and how to troubleshoot. You know, if you remember in our previous implementation with some clients, we have to troubleshoot how if the trunk is up, how to make a test calls, something like this.
Yes. Um. Yes. That get me thinking. Mm, mm, I think the only way to troubleshoot is going directly to asterisk here and see what it's dialing, what message is receiving. I don't know if we have a way to see the calls. I don't. I think the only place for us to see what's happening with the calls is on asterisk right here. That's interesting. Good question. Yes, because if you configure everything and you are not being able to connect, maybe you do have to have support from our side. Well, that is if something wrong is happening, right?
Yes.
Well, I will take note of that. But that's great. Yes. Well, I'm sure that when I show you, we are going on the next model, we are going to talk about campaigns. I'm going to show you how we configure a campaign, and we can see asterisk logging because we are going to use a campaign, a test campaign. We can enter the servers and I'm going to show you guys the call, the CLI of asterisk, how it's working, and we can do modification to the packages and see how it's changing. Okay, we will see that tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow we can see that. We're going to set up maybe a campaign here in another environment for you guys to see how, if we change something on the package, if we change something on the DID, on the routes, on the prefix, how the call is coming to the gateway. Okay, that will be better for you to understand the implications of doing this. Okay, so when I create a VCC, each VCC will have the resources that I created here. And that's why the only thing I need to assign is packages and IP phones. Why I only need to assign packages? Because the package already knows how he's going to work for inbound and outbound, right? That's why everything that I'm configuring, it's for the package, and the only thing I need to relate to the VCC is the package. Okay? Obviously, a package can't be assigned to 3 to 5 VCCs. One package for one VCC. And also the IP phones, I can select IP phones for a specific VCC. Please notice that I need to have enough IP phones for the amount of agents that I will have, right? If I have 20 agents, please assign 20, 25, 30 IP phones. But if I have 20 agents and if I assign 10 IP phones, I will be getting an error, right? Because I'm not selecting an IP phone for one of the agents. When an agent connects, it will take one of the extensions available, okay? Uh, on the previous version of inConcert, when we created an agent, we needed to do the assign agent phone. But in this version of inConcert, it's doing it automatically. Okay, so when I create an agent, I don't need to set up a phone from him. Okay.
So I have to assign the phone to the campaign and then assign it to the agent.
No. You just need to assign the phones to the VCC. Everything else is automatic. On the previous version of inConcert, I needed to do that. I needed to create an agent, set up the phone from him, and so. But in this version, I don't need to do that anymore. I only assign the SIP extensions to the VCC, and that's it. The only thing you need to be worried about is to have enough IP phones for your agents.
Okay.
If you have 20 agents, set up 30 IP phones. But if you put 10, you will have a problem, right?
Yes, sure.
Mm-hmm.
When the agent logging is will assign one extension to him.
Yes,
If
automatically.
okay, but if he logged out and log in again, he will assign the same or another extension, not dedicated to agent. Name the agent.
I think
Correct?
it takes the same. I think, but I don't have the detail of the correct answer. But I think it takes the same.
Okay. If we have 30 agent, but the maximum concurrent is 20 to when I assign the extension, have to create 20 or 30?
No, you have if you have 30 agents and you have 20 extensions here, you have to create 10.
The maximum concurrent agent is 20.
I will recommend you to set up 30.
Okay.
I would recommend you to set up the amount of users agent as you have.
Okay, so it will be named agent.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
each agent have one extension.
Yes, and take in mind that creating IP phones it's pretty easy. Do you see here add many IP phones? You don't need to create one by one. I can create, for example, from this set up 100 phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to create one by one, okay?
Okay. It's a license.
No. The license is when you connect the agent. You can
Yes,
have
yes.
you can have created thousands and thousands of agents. The license is going to be set when you connect. If I have 20 licenses on the VCC Miraco,
Yes.
you can have here thousands and thousands of IP phones and agent users. The license is going to be consumed when you connect the user.
Okay. Great.
Sure. What other configuration I can do from the provisioning? Well, we already saw everything about omnichannel telephony. I can here set up the cognitive service for my chatbots or my virtual assistants. Okay, I can here connect to we use Azure's Microsoft Louis for this, and here I can set up my subscription ID, my Azure account, and so, and also for the QA maker. Okay, and in basic information, I can here have the name of the VCC. I can't change a name of the VCC because the VCC is related to thousands of other fields. Okay, the description, company, first blah 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 blah. Free time after conversation. This is a feature that we have because in some countries we have laws for the agents to have specific time between interactions. Okay, so you can use it if you want. Licenses. Here I can see, not change, only see what you have configured here and which channels do you have enabled. You cannot edit from here. This is only information. Okay. Security, we can enable a CAPTCHA for logging. We can enable multi-factor authentication by logging. This is for example, every user can have an email assigned. And if imagine my user Laura has my inConcert email assigned. If I click here, I will set up an outgoing account, and this will trigger an email for me to set up another code. It's a two-factor authentication. Okay, my code is 12345. I will set up here the password. This will trigger the email, and he will ask for me, what's your code? I will go to my emails, see the code, and set up the code here. Right? I can enable this if you want. Integration. Well, this is the part when I can integrate my VCC to inConcert's products. For example, help desk, marketing and sales, and workforce management. Okay. Others, maximum waiting time in mobile sessions. I can set up here. And I can here configure the limit of open outgoing batches. I don't have any, so I don't have anything to do here. Questions?
Okay, one question, Laura. Can we authenticate for the security using any like Microsoft Office 365 or any Active Directory, LDAP, Azure Active Directory, for example?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Sorry, can you repeat?
Okay, if I'd like to authenticate the users using Office 365, the agents themselves. So can I authenticate, for example, using Office 365 Microsoft accounts instead of
I think
users?
I think we don't have that functionality yet. On the previous version of inConcert, we did have, for example, Active Directory integration. But I think on this version of inConcert, we don't have any integration for the users yet. I think our team is working on that. But for now, I don't think we have any integration. Like, for example, if I create a user on my Office 365, it will create the user here. I think we don't have that kind of functionality yet.
Okay. For the users, is there any mobile application for the agents themselves so they can log into the VCC and handle their transactions through mobile application?
You can open from the browser.
Okay, for the telephony calls.
Yes, it's not an app. It's not an app per se. You can open it on the browser, on a tablet, on a browser, because it's web.
Okay.
Any other question? And yes, and that's why. Sorry. Yes.
Do we have any CDR view for campaign like Miracle? CDR?
You mean for asterisk?
CDR, what you mean the call details record for inbound or outbound call?
Yes, on the reports. On the reports, you will see that.
Okay.
Tomorrow we will be seeing the VCC. We'll be entering the VCC, and we will
Okay,
see the campaigns, the reports. Yes, of course. Any other questions? I see.
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, so tomorrow we'll begin module 4. Okay, module 4 is about campaigns. Okay, and we will be configuring campaigns. We will see every single option that the administrator has. Okay, we are going to review the reports, the supervisors, and so. Okay, so let's wrap up for today, and we will begin module 4 tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. I will be sending you. Sorry, I will be loading the record on the same URL. I guess the record takes maybe 2 hours to compress, and in 2 hours I will be uploading the record to the folder. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
So thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.